Hello, welcome to another edition of Talking Sports and Fitness with Zeke. I'm Zeke, sometimes known as Mike Zielinski. I'm very honored to have as my guest on this episode Larry Zerbe, who is Executive Director of CORE Tennis. CORE stands for City of Reading. This truly is, I believe, one of the hidden gems in the city of Reading. I wasn't even aware of your program, Larry, I have to admit, until I saw a major piece by Mike McGovern in the Sunday Reading Eagle a few weeks ago. I think it's a remarkable tennis story, Larry, and I'm going to give you time to just tell us your story, but it's remarkable even more so from a social perspective, and what it has done is become a melting pot. The intent was to give inner city kids an opportunity to learn the game of tennis, many of whom never picked up a tennis racket.
Correct.
And that worked out well, and you're also that men's tennis coach at Alvernia College, former basketball star at Alvernia and Reading High, and grew up in the city, so you have a finish for that. But what has happened, your program has become so competitive with such elite coaching and fun, you've attracted suburban kids from all over, and the key thing is, the kids have really realized that tennis is a connective, that even though they may not have a lot of common on both sides of the bridge, they have a lot in common, starting with tennis. So you're the executive director, and you've been there since 2006, right?
Correct.
And so give us a little bit of the scope. I know you're very involved with the Reading Recreation Commission, Reading Rec Commission, the USTA, United States Tennis Association. So tell us a little, give us an overview of the program.
Well, we currently, I'll take it from where it's at currently and move backwards. We currently have four major components that make up CORE. One is our summer program, and it's an 8-week program that costs between $30 or $50 for the whole 8 weeks. And we have 3 venues. One is at Hamden Park, Albright College, and then West Reading Tennis Courts. We provide tennis services for kids from 5 all the way through adults to 85.
Really?
So we do have an adult program as well. Also, along with that summer program, we do combined with the Reading Rec Commission's playgrounds. So your youngster could come to tennis all morning, get fed. We feed them up at Hamden Park through the nutrition program that the Reading Rec Commission does. And then we lead them toward like an afternoon program for families that work. And not only is it inexpensive, but it also entails a reading program and art and craft program.
Well, you're hitting all the right buttons.
Right.
And if for some reason a kid can't pay,
we
find a way.
scholarship them. Yeah. We have generosity that is from within our city and outside, so cost is never a factor, and with tennis, it's always a factor. As you move through the tennis is an expensive game.
Well, that's why I think this is such a fascinating story, because, I mean, traditionally tennis, because it's an expensive game, and it used to be a country club game, I mean, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, it has discriminated fiscally in many other ways.
Sure.
And so you're breaking down barriers in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well,
and thanks to, like, your benefactors, I know you're wearing from Tennis, which has that big store and over in Spring Township, they're nationwide, right? And they're one of the top tennis apparel companies
in the world. But and they also run the tennis center down at the United States Tennis Association in Lake Nona now. They just became the racket producer, and they have the pro shop there. So 10 years ago, Pat Shields, the owner of Frometh, met me. I would come back from North Carolina where I was coaching because my family was still, my mother was still here and getting older, and I would help with the summer program as a volunteer. We combined our efforts and decided, let's do a summer program, and now it's been a full-time job for the past 9 years, and that's where the initial genesis came from.
How many kids, adults, whatever, are in your program?
Unique visitors as of now, we probably reach, if you want to count the elementary school and middle schools that we're in, I think it's up to 1,800 Reading unique visitors that we touch.
And these kids, some of them have to come in the morning.
Yeah,
get up and play in the morning.
We have what's called the L Core Elementary School League, Elementary School Core, but L because it's our community is so strong Latino based. It's a fun way to combine it all. But yeah, we have 6 elementary schools that their young players come at 7 a.m. and they practice from 7 till 8. And then we have a league for JV and varsity elementary school kids. And again, we're taking kids from Millmont to 13th and Green to Riverside to Northwest Elementary. And again, those kids wouldn't have met each other. So tennis is bringing them all together, and we have to give a big shout out to our elementary school phys ed instructors that are involved because they open their doors widely. And the USTA, that's the United States Tennis Association, supports us fiscally as well as equipment. So these young players get this whole league for $25, and if that's a problem, we have scholarships. And they get to take their racket home with the tennis bag, and that was a big deal. Maybe about 8 years ago, one of my most fond memories is I was driving down, it was rainy, down Spring Street, and I saw two kids walking up the street with tennis rackets wrapped around their shoulders, and we never had seen that. We were like, wow, we're making some progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and you have a staff, you have assistants, and a lot of the people have come through the program, volunteer, and you do so many cool things for the kids. You were telling me before we started the program, you've taken them to the U.S. Open. I've only been to the U.S. Open once in my life. And you take them.
Every
tell
year
us
we
a little
go.
bit about the access they have through USTA and the connections you have.
Well, we go prior to the U.S. Open starting the day or two before, where they have practice rounds, and because we're what's called a National Junior Tennis and Learning Program, we get access to front row in the major stadium at the U.S. Open. We get some backdoor access as well.
These kids must be just so overwhelmed.
They don't even know how amazing it is
they don't
at
realize
this point.
It.
And as they gotten older now, a lot of our players have met Venus Williams, Serena Williams. We go to the Philadelphia Freedoms. We go down to Washington, D.C., and we have them train at what's called the National Training Center in College Park, Maryland.
And this really is a big deal.
Our big deal was to get them out of the city, but then what had happened was, because of the young players that we've developed, players from all around the county wanted to train with some of our talented young people. So all of a sudden, the bridges getting into Reading became smaller from Wyomissing, from Wilson, from Governor Mifflin, from Exeter, from Tulpehocken, from...
And that above and beyond tennis is an amazing thing.
About 3 years ago, a friend of our programs had a daughter playing for Wyomissing, and it was the semifinals of the Berks County ladder matches, the flighted tournament, meaning all the 1s, 2s, 3s, they all played. And he called me, he said, Coach Z, I just want you to know that every semifinalist on the court came from CORE. That doesn't mean we trained them all specifically only us, but every one of the players in the girls' draw in the semifinals from court 1 to court 6 all had a family orientation through CORE, and we were in their lives, which we wouldn't have been able to think that was going to happen.
Yeah, because originally the intent was just focus in inner city, but then you decided you would not discriminate that way. If someone from the suburbs, in retrospect, was the best thing you did was to widen it.
Right, and it was a little difficult. There was a growing period for some of our young players, because most of these are first generation tennis players. So once we started to provide for them and everything got good, as soon as some of the young people from outside of our community started rolling in, and I think I referenced in their Lexuses and their Beamers and their a lot of them were like standoffish again, like, wow, what just happened? This isn't for me again. But the assimilation into the game then took over, and the love of the game, and next thing you know, those same people were getting rides home, or they were getting invited over to West Reading and Wyomissing to play, and soon the game became more important than where you grew up. And it has a lot to do with the fact that we had some talent. Matter of fact, last year the top player in the county was from Reading High, Joel Castillo. He was the best player, undefeated through the county. He didn't win the county championships because he lost to a very formidable young man, but and we had the doubles team won the county, went to district, went to states.
And that really hardly ever happened at Reading.
Yeah, it hasn't happened since maybe the 80s.
Merv Heller era.
Right.
Merv Heller was an outstanding tennis player from Berks County, who later became president of the USTA.
He was the president of USTA, and actually Merv Heller has a scholarship that helps support our program, and the Berks County Community Foundation invests in our summer program very heavily, which allows us to hire young people that came through our program. Their responsibility is to give back, and we become a lot of times their first job. So we're their first interview, their first payroll, their first maybe a written letter of you need to do better. Showing up, calling at 9:15, saying I can't be there at 9. We start to train them for life.
Did you ever think when you started this? You're a tennis coach. You've suddenly become this social lightning rod and catalyst for very vital changes culturally and otherwise.
We've been fortunate, and we started with one elementary school, 13th and Union, and about 4 or 5 kids. Coach Russ Moore from Reading High we were each other's right-hand man, and we just didn't know what we were going to do, but we knew we were going to do something. And as it turned out, every year it was more kid-driven, the needs of what our demographic started to be. And then we wouldn't have imagined that we would have had such a crossover with so many players and so many people around the county. And nationally, Core Tennis, the initiatives that we put out in our schools, we have a relationship with Alvernia University. They do a math curriculum, and we do tennis. It's called the ACE program. And we're going to grow that into many other the elementary schools because we use the tennis court as geometry, angles, shapes.
Well, how clever is that?
Points, yeah. So it's more than just tennis. We say that as a little bit of one of our hashtags, and it's for everyone. And the other biggest impact we had was when we realized that we needed to say to the player, your mother, father, abuela, your cousin, whoever's bringing you needs to come, and we give them a racket, and then they started to play with us. So instead of dropping your youngster off and they're maybe coming back in an hour or just waiting in the car or waiting we asked all the families to play, and now we have that commitment from them, and they trust us more. Once we got the trust of, especially our Latino community, of their families, the floodgates opened up quite large. And again, I can't emphasize as much as the Reading School District elementary school teachers are so vital to us to introduce the game. And then it's our job to create this pathway, and we have currently 7 players that are playing college tennis that came through our program. And are playing top of their teams, it's interesting. The number one player from Albright and the number 1 player from Alvernia, from Core, both played each other, and the winner of that was the MAC Player of the Year, and it was Mara Trefoy, and she actually played at Wyomissing, and then Cassandra Norrie was Reading High, and they're dear friends forever, and they played the finals, and whoever.
Wow.
So there's a lot of that because Billie Jean King always says, if kids can see it, then they think they can do it. So we're trying to have them be able to see it.
We're really getting short on time, but has this been modeled? Have other cities, inner cities, picked up similar programs to what you're doing?
We did. When I first got the job, the second year I got invited to the national convention where I watched who got the national awards for this. So I was looking at everything that they were executing, and we realized we could do this. So it wasn't, some of the stuff was modeled based on the United States Tennis Association initiatives. The reason we do that is because we get funding if we do that. So the funding helps. So then we are now, I was just at the national convention, Core Tennis, they use our videos and we are the example they use to share with other cities across the country.
Well, you should be very proud of what you and your staff do, and proud of what the accomplishments are of the people who go through your program on and off the court.
Oh, without question, yeah. And again, it's collaborations. It's the Reading Rec Commission, it's Frometh, it's the school district, and then it's energy. And that's our job, is to bring the energy.
Awesome. All right, Larry Zerbe, Core Tennis, COR. If you want more information, you have a website, right?
www.readingrec.org. www.readingrec.org. Just go right to the tennis link. Also see what else is going on in Reading from the Rec Commission. They're doing a lot of good things. You can find us on Facebook, Core Tennis. Just go to COR Tennis and you'll get to see us. We also have an Instagram page, but once you get connected to us, we stay connected to family.
All right, thank you so much. I have a cold, I apologize, but don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to the People Chronicles channel on YouTube.
These stories are made possible in part by Spring Ridge Financial, Heidelberg Restaurant, Queen City Restaurant, and P.J. Willihan.